Yeah!
The shout now. Well done, Bobby Charlton. Well done, Manchester United.
It's a Sheringham and Solskjaer.
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Ashwin.
And I'm Jamie.
Yeah, three of us joining up here. We're like a day actually after the West Brom game. Lately we've been recording straight after, but this time we've had 24 hours to stew over it and think about where we're at, what it means. Obviously it's a disappointing result. When we record often straight after and you have a bad result, then it's often just an absolute outpouring of frustration and anger. I don't know if you two have calmed down a little bit 24 hours later or if you're still feeling frustrated and angry, but yeah, we'll find out soon enough. We've been on a bad run rate lately, dropped too many points, definitely big discussion on whether are we still in the title race. I think even last pod we were already saying City are kind of running away with it and they're kind of looking unstoppable at the moment. But yeah, we are still in second place, but we can't really be dropping points to the likes of West Brom and be talking about being in a title race, really, can we, Ashwin?
No, we can't. I think the title had already gone after losing to Sheffield. I think, it's not just... it's bad enough you drop points to Sheffield, you drop points to West Brom. But I think that you can look at Liverpool's drop points. I think you could argue, I know Arsenal has been in pretty good form, but I think you could argue those are drop points. Everton are absolutely 100% drop points. So that's 5 matches right there. I think Jamie posted this in our WhatsApp yesterday. 5 of our last 7 matches, we've dropped points in some capacity. That you're not winning titles with that. And that's okay. I don't think that a title run this year would have been kind of a year ahead of when I realistically thought we could, but a lot of circumstances occurred and we were in a position where, maybe you get optimistic, but now I'm more concerned of what is happening here that we constantly start off matches in slow motion. We never seem to be able to just immediately pin a team back. It's always did we even complete a pass before they scored the goal? I don't think so. I don't even know if we had a controlled touch of the ball before they scored yesterday. And it's just, this is constant. It's every match is like this and it's ridiculous. You cannot win titles like this. I know that, there's some romanticism of, with Fergie, right? You'd go behind, you come back, you win. It happens all the time. I don't think it didn't happen as often as it seems to be happening this year. That's for sure. And it's poor. You can't start matches like that. And then, yesterday there wasn't even really much of a response. There was a period for maybe 10, 15 minutes at the end of the first half where I really thought we were, piling the pressure on. And then we did get a goal. It was a great goal, not one necessarily that you would say it was a bit of brilliance, but there was sustained pressure in that kind of passage of play. But other than that, we were poor. I don't think we did. If we had lost, it wouldn't have been that harsh, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that is the difficult thing to take, that it's not one where we actually battered them, that the goalie had a blinder. We didn't actually create that many chances. That is the biggest disappointment from this game. I said myself after losing to Sheffield United that, look, we were definitely screwed over by VAR. I know we had the drop points to Everton, but I actually thought we played pretty well that day and, just had some defensive mess-ups to lose those points. But on this day, you can't really argue with the result. We kind of didn't really deserve anything more. I often look out at the XG, and on this one, it's saying 0.95 West Brom, 0.42 for us. So it's actually
that's
almost saying
shocking.
It's almost saying we're lucky actually to have a draw. And it's true, actually, West Brom had a couple of other chances on the break that if their passing or shooting had been a bit better, it could have been even worse for us. We can still look at VAR. That early goal, Jamie, there's been a lot of chat about it now. They actually, again, just like Sheffield United, it reminded me so much of that goal that the media and all didn't say much about it at all. But when you looked at that goal afterwards, and even match of the day and all, they were saying, look, that was a clear foul on David De Gea. And it was the same. During the match, not much was made of this goal. At the time, I said, look, weak from Lindelof again. You know, we've been kind of got a bit used to that. I mean, I remember actually saying Lindelof's too weak on the first day of the season when we lost to Crystal Palace. And it was still, you know, something that haven't really changed my opinion since then, although he has played a bit better here and there. But whenever he comes in these really physical battles, he tends to lose out. But it's a foul, isn't it, Jamie? I mean, the guy's got his hand right in his face.
Oh, it's definitely a foul. I've said a few times on the pod that I don't mind Lindelof's because sometimes I think he is actually a decent defender. Okay, we can be looking to get better, but I do think he is a decent defender. But when he's in these real tough physical battles against a striker like he was yesterday, you just don't fancy him to come out on top, if at all, in the game. But I felt as though I was the only person in our chat yesterday who, when I saw the replay again at half time, I said, that's a foul, is it not? And I seemed to be by myself saying, everyone else is like, nah, he needs to be stronger. And I was like, well, yeah, of course he does. But literally, watch it back. The guy's arm catches Lindelof in the back of his head, then comes over his head to then put his hand literally right in his face to then reach round him and head it in. There is no way that is not a foul. It just is not a foul. Sorry, it is not a foul is what I mean to say. There's no way you can look at that and just go, oh yeah, that's fine. Because even Graham Souness, the most anti-Man United guy there is, sat at half-time and said, it's absolutely a foul. Of course it's a foul.
I mean, I think it's a foul, but this is where it... Okay, he has to be stronger, fine. But if it's you have to sell fouls too, right? Like,
but you don't though. If it's VAR should be looking at that and just look at it. Just literally look at the decision, and you see that's not a foul.
But we know VAR sucks, right? So like, if you want a foul, we see this all the time, even with VAR, right? That's what we said about De Gea at the time against who was it? Was it Sheffield? It's like if you.
But this is what annoys me, though.
I agree with you.
It's VAR, but VAR you shouldn't have to go and hound the referee to get him to look at a decision to decide whether or not that's a foul or it needs to be looked at again. I mean, I lose count the amount of times I say it, but if you compare it to rugby, they don't just sit and have all the players going absolutely crazy about a decision to decide whether or not it's a foul or not. It's literally just the job of the TMO. If the ref says to him, I'm happy with that try, but can you just have a look at that again and just see is there any reason not to award it? It's really not that difficult for Craig Pawson, if he thinks there might be a foul, or the the VAR, if he thinks there's a possible issue there, just to say to the ref, by the way, you might want to go and look at that again. That shouldn't be the responsibility of players having to then go and moan at the referee to get them to take a look at it. That's not what VAR was brought in for. It was brought in for to help the officials.
I agree with that. But what my point is I'll give you an example. If that's I don't know, if that's Ruben Diaz on City, he is not just. It wouldn't require the entire team to go run over to the ref, right? Because he would collapse on the ground, he'd grab his face, and he'd get the call. He would get the call. Lindelof does nothing there. He's not strong enough. Okay, fine, you get fouled. But then he doesn't sell the foul either. So I agree with you completely that VAR should look at it anyway and should be able to, make the right call. But the fact is, like, if you're going to, you either need to be strong there and win the ball, which you should win anyway, to be honest. Like,
oh, yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
He should just win the challenge there, and we're not talking about any of this. It's absurd that he's, I don't even know what he's doing there. He's just kind of standing motionless, not going to challenge for it. But even then, if you're going to, then you have to be smart about it. You have to get your body in the way and collapse and like do a swan dive so the ref has to make the call, right? Because if he calls it, there's no way it gets overturned and it's ruled a goal, right? But you have to sell the call, and he never does that. Like, and then I just can't. Yesterday, he was so desperate to lose the match for us yesterday. I'm convinced because he was god awful throughout all of it. He almost got beat, like that one where they had a 2-on-1, and I think Maitland-Niles missed a cross to what's his name?
Oh yeah, in the second half.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Diang, I think it's-
Yeah, Diani, whatever. Like Lindelof, I don't know where he was. It was just Maguire by himself back there. I have no clue where Lindelof is there. And then on the other one where they just cross a ball in, this happens with him all the time. They cross a ball in from like 30 yards out on the wing, on the right wing. He crossed it in. I mean, they easily could have scored there. He's nowhere to be found. Again, gets beaten on a cross. He was so bad. And then actually they had a set piece in the first half from 40 yards away. He lost his man again. It was Diana, whatever. I can't even pronounce his name. The guy who scored the goal. He lost him again. And it was like, it would have been a very hard header to score. But he had a free header. So he was so bad. And then he tried to act like, he always gives away these ridiculous fouls. He gave away one yesterday on, like 40 yards from goal on the right at the touchline for no reason at all. Gives away a foul. Then he had one in their half where he he needed to prove that he wasn't going to get fouled anymore, and he just jumped right over his back. And it's just like I can't even. I cannot understand what goes through, and I know he's been playing with injuries, so like I am sympathetic to maybe he's not at 100%. But once you're on the pitch, like it's hard to start making excuses for he's injured. Like he's on the pitch though. Rashford, he plays injured. I still think when he plays poorly, I'm not going to say that. Oh well, he's injured. Like once you're on the pitch, you have to perform. And I thought Lindelof was just terrible in everything yesterday. Defensively, I thought any time he had the ball in possession, it took him, like at least 5-10 seconds too long to make a decision. And then when he'd make the decision, it would just be a square ball. Like it wasn't like he tried to do anything. So he was terrible yesterday. And, I mean, I don't know how many times we have to have this discussion about whoever Maguire's partner is. Like consistently, whatever Maguire's faults are, there is a level of consistency to his performances. And the position next to him is just a complete fucking wild card every night, every time. Every match is like, it's an adventure. It's like a pick your own adventure. Sometimes Baye will come in, he'll look amazing. Sometimes Baye will come in and, give away a penalty. Or sometimes Lindelof will come in and be great. And then other times he comes in and, he can't win a header for the entire match. Like, it's bananas.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so many times that I've said, listen, Baye needs to play, but he's actually been injured, so he's not even really been an option. He was actually on the bench, but I think he'd only just come back into training a couple of days before, and that's obviously the issue with Baye. We had this kind of run, well, what was it, 2 months ago, where he was playing a few in a row and was doing really well. I mean, I'm absolutely certain that Baye does not get beaten for that first goal. It's the kind of thing that he clears, whereas it's the exact difference between those two players. And whereas, Lindelof is better at certain other things, maybe positionally he's not as rash and things like that. But yeah, Baye is head and shoulders ahead of him in kind of the physical side, the athletic side of it. But the issue is that, Baye can just never stay fit.
Wasn't he on the bench though yesterday? So
he was on the bench, but he'd only just come back, like I said, into training like a couple of days before.
I don't think he's anywhere near fitness yet.
It's like frustrating. It's like that's not like with Lindelof. Actually, I feel like against better teams, he plays better because kind of what he's good at, right? Whereas with like in a match like yesterday, where you're going to be on the front foot, and really you just need to be aware of attacking opportunities and kind of direct play like that. Even though Baye isn't a good header of the ball, he is, like you said, he is more physical. He's more up for that kind of duel, right? So yeah, I mean, if he had just gotten back, it's hard to say, just throw him in. But Lindelof is, he needs to. That's definitely a position that needs sorting out.
Yeah, and I think we've all said that all season, that, really since the start, that we need another centre-back. As I said, Baye had this brief resurgence, and you kind of had this hope that, he's back and maybe he'll stay fit, but then, he's been out again for like 3 or 4 matches. I mean, the one that has been the kind of, disappointment for me all season has been Tuanzebe. he's, I don't know. I wanted to see more of him. I think he's a good player. He had that great performance against PSG, and then he's had a couple of kind of bad performances. He was in that Sheffield United game and didn't do very well. And then Ole's not giving him that many chances. I mean, I still think that he should have had some more chances just to be rotated in, maybe even at right back, if not at centre back. But yeah, he's not played much, and he has been a disappointment for me.
It's hard though without like you said. I wish he would just play him at right back, but just because I think he needs. It's hard.
He needs the game time.
Yeah,
he needs the game time.
It's hard. Like I know he was really bad against Sheffield, but it is hard to not play at all and then just come in, especially at a position like center back where you need that kind of understanding of with your partner. Like, are we going to hold the line? Am I going to drop? Should I go forward? Or you need to have that kind of intuitive understanding. And if you don't have match time at all on top of that to develop the understanding, but also just kind of be up to match speed, I think it's really hard. And actually, he played against Leicester at right back, right?
Yeah, he has played at right back and did all right the time he played
I thought
there.
He was fine. Like he should. And Wan-Bissaka, he plays way too much. He needs, even if he is a better right back than Tuanzebe is right now, you need to rotate. Like he just needs to rotate there. And I actually think Tuanzebe's always looked pretty good when he has played at right back. Not amazing, but I don't think he's actually been bad anytime he's played there. Even he played there with Mourinho, right? And he played great against Arsenal, if I remember correctly.
See, for me though, the thing is, right, this points to a bigger thing that started creeping in, which is after the Everton game, that's 30 goals we've conceded in the Premier League this season. So that's now 31 after the game of the weekend. If you want to be, forget the league, if you just want to solidify second position or your own status in the top four, you cannot be conceding 31 goals after 24 games or whatever it is. That's inexcusable. And the fact that Lindelof and Maguire are the ones that have played the vast majority of those games indicates the partnership doesn't work. Whether it's De Gea or Henderson behind them, and De Gea's obviously been brutal at times this season as well, but it indicates the number one partnership we have, which is Maguire and Lindelof, does not work. Tuanzebe has been hung out to dry a couple of times with performances in Turkey, that one against Başakşehir, which was terrible. His performance against Sheffield United wasn't great. He got some undue stick for the Everton game. I mean, all he did was concede a foul on the halfway line. You shouldn't be conceding from there. But I think he should be playing more purely off the fact that the number one partnership we have is not working. And if you look at every single stat going, whether it's the shot conversion conceded because we give the other team far too much of an opportunity to just shoot at the goal, the amount of goals we actually do concede, the amount of chances we give up, the amount of corners that just seem to seriously threaten us no matter who it is we're playing, that Lindelof position has to change. And I totally agree with the both of you that I would like to see Tuanzebe play more, purely off the fact that we are already conceding so many goals that surely there has to be a change just to try something different to see if it just stops the flow of goals going in at the other end. It just can't go on. Like, we were getting away with it before because Bruno's fantastic. Rashford turns it on every so often, like more than every so often. That's harsh, but he plays really well. Greenwood had his period where he was playing well last season, start of this season. So there was always ways that no matter how many goals we were giving up, we could fight to get back into it. But now you're seeing the front players are all going off form at exactly the same time. The only one still producing is Bruno. Cavani's been starved of service whenever he plays. So this is just becoming too much of an issue to ignore now. And whether it's Lindelof that needs to be changed, or whether Tuanzebe needs to be put in to the right back position, or whether they have to go back to a back three and it's Luke Shaw, Maguire and somebody else and two people further out wide, something needs to change. We cannot keep conceding so many daft, stupid goals that, quite frankly, if you want to become a top team, you cannot concede.
I think one other issue too that I know has been talked about a little bit, and this isn't just about center, like our wingers never track back. And I think that actually you consistently see that we concede crossing opportunities, right? I think like that's a consistent pattern you see no matter who we play. We give away the width kind of right outside the box or right in that area. And that's on both flanks. And sure, like there are times where Wan-Bissaka can do better positionally, or maybe Fred or McTominay can cover better. But I think like just the wingers never tracking back is part of the problem too, which isn't to like, I mean, it's all part of the problem, right? So it's not like, even if they track back, I still don't think that automatically means Lindelof becomes amazing, right? Obviously that's not the case, but just in terms of like the personnel we have, I think it needs to become a priority to some degree again for our wingers to track back a bit more. It doesn't need to be like, Mourinho style, you've created a back six or like, I'm not saying that, but it needs to be more. It needs to be more consistent because we've seen, I think I see like too often this year, you kind of see that space is conceded so easily and it invites pressure. And it's also just a matter of their fullbacks having, opposing fullbacks having all the freedom to get forward without much resistance, regardless of who we play. And I just think that invites its own type of pressure. And then, we're not able to capitalize. Like that's a risk reward, right? If you're not tracking back, the risk reward is that your wingers will then have the ability to attack into space. But that risk reward isn't working in our favor right now. So I think that's also something that needs to be looked at.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's an issue in this particular game.
No, not in this match.
Obviously, like we dominated this game. Their only chances are kind of when it comes on the break, and after this is the problem that we know when we're going to go and play West Brom away, that they're absolutely going to sit in, defend, and it's going to be doubly worse when they go 1-0 up after 1 minute. It's going to be even more like park 4-5 buses. So yeah, we knew how it was going to be, and the problem was that we just weren't creating anything. But I mean, anyway, look, while we're talking about the defense, I was going to ask this question later, but we did have a question from Twitter at David I don't know if it's at David in the Cock or David in the KOK or whatever, but he said, what do you think of Maguire? Because we're talking about Maguire's partner. All the focus is on Lindelof's not good enough. Where's Bailly? So Tuanzebe play? But he's saying, what about Maguire? Is he the problem or is he okay? Should we be building a defence around him? I mean, there is more and more questions over Maguire, especially over his captaincy. I mean, I personally think he's had a relatively good season. If we think back to, he had that farce out in Greece and then he had a really shaky period where it looked like all that stuff was getting to him after he'd been arrested and, but he's still got something hanging over him from Greece. But he really did seem to turn that around, scored a couple of important goals, although, yeah, you would actually hope he'd scored a few more. And generally, I think he has played well enough. Like, I'm not talking about like 9 out of 10, but let's say, I'd give him like a 7 out of 10 or something for the season. And I think that, yeah, we can build a defence around him, but he needs the right partner. Whenever I've seen him with Bailly, I think they fit much better. One who's like fast, a bit athletic, whereas, Maguire probably better on the ball and things like that. I mean, I don't know if either of you two disagree with that. Do you think, I see more and more now people saying Maguire is as much of a problem and, we've been done here, he's not the one. But, for me, I still think Maguire is all right and we just need to find the right partner for him. But yeah, what do you think about that, Jamie?
Is it David who's the guy that's asked the question?
Yeah, and by the way, just to tell you, Jamie, he also sent in his message, he said, I like hearing the different guys you have on the pod, so you have different lineups and different opinions. He said, I'll be honest, he said, I only just realised that you had two different Scottish guys
See,
on.
I've got a bone to pick with him over that. I mean, come on, David, you need to learn your regional dialects of Scotland. Come on, man. We sound nothing alike. Nothing alike.
To be fair, though, aren't you and he's also David, but aren't you both from Glasgow? Aren't you both Glasgow boys?
Yeah, but his is maybe a bit of a nicer accent than mine. Mine's is maybe a bit more rough around the edges. But
yeah, well, the other
man.
David, Scottish David, has actually been living out in Canada for a while, so maybe his accent's got a bit diluted over time, whereas you're still in the thick of it, right?
Refined, we'll call it. Yeah, whereas mine's is a bit more rough and ready. Yeah, but regarding Maguire, I think he's had a good season as well. I think he had a shaky start. But then he scored, I think it was round about when he scored the header against Newcastle, that seemed to just help him out a wee bit, and his performances really started to get a bit more consistent from then. Yeah, sure, he still has the odd game where he's not great and some things go a bit wrong, but I think on the whole he has been good this season. Regarding the captaincy, I still am somebody who believes that who your captain is in terms of who actually wears the armband on the day is still quite important. And for me, I've said it a few times now, I don't think it should be Maguire. I think it should be Bruno. He should be the captain. I just think sometimes Ashwin pointed out earlier on saying, you need to kind of be a bit more forceful and talking to the refs and stuff like that. It's maybe a little bit of that, but it's more just I don't see him going round and geeing the players up when the going gets tough and we're maybe up against it a wee bit. I just don't see that from him, and I do see that from Bruno. But from a point of view of a defender, I think, yeah, he is the one that I would definitely be keeping in the defence. And a lot of times he is having to compensate for the issues that we're having because we don't have a totally reliable partner with him. And I think that is something that you can sort out in the summer by just going and the number one target being a centre half. Because as much as, we would all love a right winger, we probably could do with another midfielder depending on what happens with Pogba in the summer. But you can just see, watching the team right now, that is the weak link in the team, is whoever the partner is for Maguire. We are worried about it. I mean, Bailey's done well and looks consistent when he plays, but you just can't trust him with his injury record. Lindelof, he maybe is still carrying a knock, but again, can't trust him. Twanzebe isn't getting a chance for whatever the reasoning is. So,
did you see actually, Jamie, that Gary Neville says the other day that I think McTominay should have a chance at centre back? So is McTominay's biggest fan,
Gary
I'd be
McNeville?
interested.
I would do it. Yeah, I would. If the proverbial crap hit the fan and we just needed somebody to play there, I would have absolutely no reservations about playing McTominay there. Because when he plays, it's a bit different because when he plays for Scotland, it's a back three at times. But I just think when I see him play there for Scotland, he's just comfortable, he's assured. I think he's got a great range of passing on him. His short-term passing could be better at times, but his long-range passing is excellent. He is good on the ball, comfortable, strides about in the midfield, and I think when he plays for Scotland, he does that well for us, where he just takes the ball off the goalie or off the fullback, strides forward and plays the ball into the midfield, or if it's a more angled pass up towards the forward, he's comfortable with that as well. I'm not sure it's a long-term solution, but if there was absolutely an emergency situation arose and somebody had to fill in, I would see no issues at all with McTominay playing there next to Maguire.
Yeah, I think that's it. It would be more of an emergency thing, and really we do need to buy a centre-back in summer.
Definitely.
And I think, and we've said that, all of us, since like the start of the season. Look, let's see what the board can do about that. But looking back at the game, I mean, we've focused a lot on the defence and that first goal, but the biggest problem in this game that we've had, 73% possession, but only managed, I don't know, a couple of decent chances. And, the stats show we've had 10 shots, but there wasn't much the goalie
10
had
shots?
to do.
I can't even remember the 10.
Yeah, well, look, like I said, there was only maybe one decent save right at the end of the game that Sam Johnson makes, and that is from Maguire that he tips onto the post. Apart from that, you wouldn't say that he had that many saves to make, really. There was a few long-range shots, not much. I mean, even Rashford has not managed a shot on target in the whole game. I mean, that for me, I'd said it a few weeks ago that I don't want to see Rashford on the right. You lose so much in him that he should be sticking to the left, but we keep having this problem. On the right side.
Martial's not playing well enough to move Rashford out of position.
Definitely.
That's the fundamental. Like, if Martial was playing well, then you would understand. Okay, like this is just it has to happen because he gives us more on the right than anybody else right now. So, but it's not. So, like, I didn't understand not starting Greenwood because I thought Greenwood actually played, and even Ole said after Everton that he was like, oh yeah, he played well against Everton.
I think it's just, he can't play every game, right? I think that's just the thing about Greenwood, and he's played a fair bit recently, and he is playing better. Just at his age, he can't be expected to play that many matches. So at some point, somebody else is going to have to play that side. I mean, personally, for me, like you say, I'd actually prefer to leave Rashford left because he's so much more comfortable there and looks so much better there. And all right, if you want to play Martial, then play him on the right because he's not doing anything on the left anyway. And even if it's not natural to him, let him play on the right. Or I don't know, give Daniel James a game. He's not been in it.
Someone who's just nowhere to be found at the moment, though, and it's confusing, is Mata. Because
he has completely gone missing, and it's like you looked at the bench in this West Brom game, and we had like 5 defensive players on the bench. There was only there was Greenwood, Van der Beek, and James were on the bench. But Mata not even making the bench.
He was playing really well at the start of the season as well. Sorry,
he had a good game. Who was it? He made the pass
against.
And set up
it was Sheffield.
Goal. Yeah. It was a good. West Ham, yeah, all right. Yeah. Now, it was relatively recently, but lately he's not even making the bench. I mean, I can understand that, when we've got a fully fit squad, there is going to be a couple of big names who are not going to even make the bench, and he's obviously, he's not one for the future, so Ole wants to give game time to whether it's Greenwood or even Van der Beek. He likes to keep James in there. But at this point where Pogba is out, we then know that all of a sudden, all the creative burden goes on to Bruno. And if he's not hitting it, then, we're a bit lost creatively. And we know, Mata is that one who can still bring in those chances when you're hitting those low block teams. He can find that ball. This was a big problem this match that Bruno, he was not finding those balls. He was off target time and time again. Just as it was coming up to half time, I'd kind of half written this tweet where I was going to say, listen, Bruno is way off it today, and he obviously puts in that stunning strike just on the stroke of it that kind of makes up for it. It's something I said before, that he's giving the ball away time and time again, but he pulls out that assist, he pulls out that goal that you say, all right, it doesn't matter. If he does that, then whatever he does before is worthwhile. But when he's off range, there were so many, even short balls, he was just off target. It was one of those days, and he does have them time and time again. But the thing is, he keeps trying, and often does manage to hit it. But Cavani was getting nothing at all. I mean, you look at the thing, he's only had something like 20 touches in the whole match, which is just, nothing for him to be feeding on. We weren't getting in our fullbacks or wingers behind theirs to be crossing in much enough at all.
I thought weirdly, the thing about that too that I thought was weird is it seemed like we weren't even trying to. But when we did, I thought Shaw, when he actually got forward, he got into dangerous position. We scored off of he crossed it, right? That was a Shaw cross that he put into the box. And
another assist from Shaw that he's absolutely racking them up now. I mean, I remember earlier in the season talking about how poor his assist record was, and he'd had something like 3 assists in 3 years or something, and this season he's making up for that. But I think we were trying, right? There was so many times where we were going for 1-2s, the one-touch stuff, and it wasn't coming off, and it was falling down either at Bruno, it was falling down at Rashford, Martial, all of them were guilty.
It's too cute.
Where normally, where our it's just, well, but we've seen that play for us when things are going well. That one-touch stuff comes off for us, and all of a sudden we're through. And that's the kind of balls where you're playing that low block team who are set up, who are like absolutely just everyone behind the ball. It's the only way you can get through them is by fast, quick passing. I mean, how else can you do it? And everybody was guilty. Like I said, Bruno, Martial, Rashford, all of them were guilty of being wasteful and wasting those balls. I mean, the amount of time I remember, like, they'd gone for these 1-2s, and then it does get frustrating. They start trying to do these back heels and stuff like that. And, on a day where it's pissing down with rain, there's wind swirling, it's like, it's not the day to be like trying to like back heel it all of a sudden.
There was one, and it's not even like that's part of it. And this is what drives me nuts is, so in the first half, there was a bit in like around like 20, 25 minutes where Martial just stayed wide. And he got into good crossing positions like multiple times, or he'd combine with Wan-Bissaka or whatever. But we were getting into good wide areas, and we're able to, even if the crosses themselves weren't great, you're making them work, right? You're putting the ball into dangerous areas, and that's always half the battle. And then we just stopped doing that. And
no, but Ashwin, you made an excellent point, because there was 3 times in the second half yesterday where it happened, where Rashford beat his man, flashes it across the box, like literally right across the 6-yard box. Martial standing on the edge of, say, 12 yards out, not even interested. It then happens again.
Even Cavani yesterday was like nowhere to be found on those.
Nowhere to be seen. But then Wan-Bissaka does the exact same cross and the exact same outcome. Nobody's at the back post. And then when Greenwood comes on, Greenwood does it again, and it's Rashford stood at the back post. Even Gary Neville commented on it, saying, I can't understand how that same pass has happened 3 times and not one forward has read that ball is going to come in, and it's got to come in with pace, because it's the only way it can possibly get through the box. And 3 times in the second half, the exact same cross came in, and that's what Neville said. That won't go down as a chance, because nobody at the back post has met it to even get it on target or put it over the bar, whatever. But that is 3 times. That exact same ball has come in, where Sam Johnson hasn't saved it, their defence hasn't cleared it. It's literally just went all the way through the box. And on all 3 occasions, it was Martial twice and Rashford once, just standing on the left-hand side of the box, say 12 yards out, and just watch the ball go by them. And you're like, that's criminal, man. You have to read that there is a chance that if somebody just hits the ball really hard and low through the edge of the 6-yard box, it might reach the other side. And
why is nobody ever gambling? Like I never.
Well, it should be Cavani, really, shouldn't it? I mean, that's what he's there for.
But you're a forward at like I understand. 1 time, okay, you don't do it. 2 times, this is like every time. This is like all the time.
It's always the wide positions as well. I mean, I get it. Yeah, Cavani should score probably one of the 3. But it's the point that if you do dive in for that ball in the middle of the 6-yard box and you miss it, surely one of the 3 times when it goes to the far side, somebody must be standing there. Just an empty net. Just put the ball in.
One thing I will say is Greenwood actually, when he plays, he does get into the box. He does. I think he, at least from what I see, I have no statistics to prove this. But I feel like he actually does get into those positions. Maybe because he is more naturally inclined to as like a striker, right? He is more of a striker. So I think he actually does get into the box a bit more and tries to gamble on chances like that. Even though his goal output obviously hasn't been there this year, but I do think he does do that more. But yeah, like Rashford and Martial, they always want to hang out a little deeper. And then, Rashford, I defend him a lot, and deservedly. Like, you don't need to defend him, right? He's a really good player. But yesterday, I mean, how many times can you chop the ball back and forth? How many times can you do that without fucking shooting? Like, it was ridiculous yesterday. He had one yesterday. He cut in on his right. Then he tries to cut in again on his right. Like, just shoot the ball. At some point, just shoot the ball, and maybe
I think they were doing well on the defending, but I do know exactly. And sometimes, just get the ball in the box.
You
There
never
was
know,
a couple
yeah.
of times where he's got the ball on the right-hand side, he's beaten the player, but like you say, he then brings it back in instead of just sending it in. And yeah, maybe Cavani then starts getting frustrated. He's like, look, this ball should have come in then. Why hasn't it come in? And, obviously West Brom are defending in numbers. And there was a few times where all of a sudden Rashford has got 3 defenders around him and he's still trying to take them all on. But yeah, personally, like I say, I think a lot of it comes that he's playing on the right. He's not as comfortable. Martial now, Ole's given him so many chances,
Drop him.
and yeah, it is partly kind of rotation. Like I say, I think he has been on the bench a couple of times. The one thing I do want to say though is we will criticise Martial because he's been way off form. He's not doing enough for the team, but it has nothing to do with the colour of his skin because, it's absolutely some ridiculous stuff that we're seeing nowadays. And it's just every week now, whether it's Tuanzebe, whether it's Martial, whether it's Rashford, every week there seems to be players getting this kind of racist abuse, whether it's emojis, whether it's what. I can't really understand it. It actually seems to be getting worse and worse. I don't know what the solution is. I know people have mentioned about social media coming in and making people put in IDs and things like that, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be honest, because it's not in those social media companies' interests to be doing that, and so many people would drop out. But it's just beyond crazy now, and I don't know what you guys think. What can be done about this kind of thing? There's not really any solution to it, and like I say, it actually seems to be getting worse, if anything.
I think that these companies are. They have all kinds of monitoring that they do themselves, right? They have quality control that they do themselves. I know during our very fair and justified election where everything was perfect, that during that process, that like on Twitter and stuff, they were cracking down on a lot of various hate speech and stuff like that. So it is possible. This is on Twitter at least and on Instagram, I believe. I'm not on Instagram, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I'm pretty sure they did that on there too.
It's true, actually. They had a lot of stuff about fact checking, and even Donald Trump was blocked out there. So it's right; they can do it. Yeah,
so they can do it, and the fact that they choose not to is disturbing, and it encourages. It should not be hard. I understand people's reservations about. I don't want to give up my ID information to, Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Let's be real, Facebook. It's not exactly very secure with your information. So I understand that. But if you they should be able to see, okay, if a comment is flagged, right, they should be able to see it and delete it. And then they should be able to freeze your account or delete your account. Because they do that on Twitter all the time. They freeze people's accounts or suspend them temporarily, suspend them permanently, whatever, for all variety of things. So there is obviously quality control that goes on. But clearly they don't think certain things such as blatant racism qualifies as that, which is kind of, that's crazy to me. And I think, Jamie, you mentioned, right, that Luckhurst had reported some of these racist comments on Martial's Instagram to Instagram, and they came out and said that actually none of these had violated their terms of
their community standards or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
That says it all, doesn't it? That as long as they can roll out that excuse, it's almost as if they don't need to take any further action. I even seen other people saying, if you were to cut a video and say you used some backing track or something like that, and you hadn't asked permission, and you then put it on Instagram, it'll be taken down within 24 hours, something like that. But it just seems
true. Actually,
it seems
we actually have a problem with our own backing track at the moment. That we've had copyright claims on it. So yeah, I know exactly what it means over there. So yeah, you're right. They can, when they want to, close these things out. I don't know. They say they're working on this stuff, but there definitely has to be some changes over there because, like I say, it's actually getting worse and just getting ridiculous. And we will criticize players when they haven't played well, whatever. But like I say, the color of their skin just doesn't even come into it. And it shouldn't do, and I just don't know why people are focusing on this thing nowadays. It's just gone beyond ridiculous. But getting back to the kind of game, it was obviously a massive disappointment coming out 1-1. This was one of the most disappointing this run to me. As I said, Everton, I thought we played pretty well. Sheffield United, you can look at kind of some pretty bad VAR decisions, and that day, XG would have said that we should have got the result that day. Whereas this game, even you look at the chances, we had nothing and didn't really deserve much of it. We Bruno pulls out a wicked goal that shouldn't even really be a goal. It was just such a great strike. So, and that's all we really got to look at. So yeah, this was the one that really did start asking questions. And I mean, the big question for me though is that I've always said, and I get some stick for it, that when we had these cup matches earlier, that I would have played complete reserve teams, and that when we ended up top of the league, I said, listen, we should just focus on the league, rotate in the cups, because we're kind of ahead of schedule in the league. And if we want to have any chance of staying up here, we have to just focus on this 100%. Because for me, our squad was improved massively, but still not in a place where it was ready to be fighting on 2 or 3 fronts. And in the end, we've had these 2 bad performances have come straight after very difficult cup matches. And I don't think it's any coincidence at all. We beat Liverpool in the FA Cup and then went and lost to Sheffield United. The West Ham game was more of a damp squib, but we ended up playing 120 minutes with extra time. And again, I think it's no coincidence that we end up having a kind of lethargic first half after that. And it's a big thing for me that maybe as well Ole has to take some kind of thing about rotating a bit more, trying to keep people a bit fresher. We said, some of these defenders, especially Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, have played a lot of matches. And whereas we've been freshening up a fair bit in midfield because we've got a lot of options and there has been good rotation in attack, I think, the defence definitely has been just playing too many games. And, when we start looking ahead, we've got the Europa League kicking off again. So I mean, I don't know whether you guys think it's just an excuse, but for me, it cannot be a coincidence that we have 2 big kind of cup performances that take us through, and then after that we had terrible league performances. I mean, do you think that's just a coincidence, Ashwin?
I don't think it's a coincidence. I still think we should be getting those results, but no, it's not a coincidence. I agree with you that once we went top of the league, I don't think that you need to go, like putting on a pretty strong squad against, was it West Ham?
Yeah, there was some rotation, but the biggest problem with that West Ham game was that we ended up playing extra time, and the players that were rested ended up then coming on and having to play. But
that's kind of my point. Like, okay, so like I just don't see why not give Diallo a run out in that match. Like, is it like who did we bring on? We bring on Rashford, I think, was it? Or was it Martial? I don't remember who. I forgot who started and who came off the bench. But you bring in your experienced attackers who, have played a lot. And it's not just this season. It's after lockdown, we barely had a rest, right? So it's you didn't even really have a good break in between the end of last season and the start of this one. Didn't have a preseason, so you had to use kind of actual league matches as your preseason. Obviously, that really hurt us early in the season. But I feel like there are chances in those matches to give some of these younger or fringe players opportunities and just accept the results. Like, I think Matza could easily play against West Ham and we could win a match and he could contribute to that, right? Like, I think that it would have been a really good opportunity, especially going into extra time or something. Like, okay, play Diallo, see what he can do in that situation. It's against a tired team after 90 minutes, not exactly, you're not throwing him into the fire there. Why can't Twanzebe play in one of those matches? Like, those are the kind of rotation decisions where, and like Tellez did play, right? And I think he got subbed out eventually. But like, I mean, it was good to see Tellez play. I've been critical of him, but he needs those minutes. And like Dan James could use minutes. Like, there are all these players that you can use the cups to at least get them minutes. And if you progress, great, awesome. If not, like, I would like to win the FA Cup, but if we don't win the FA Cup, are you really going to be upset? I mean, you can't even go to the matches, right? So like, it's not like you get a day out at Wembley from it either. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, like we said after midweek, that because now we start falling behind in the league, then the kind of FA Cup becomes more important. Because, if we can go all season like fighting and saying, look, we're still in a league challenge, we're just behind City, then, for me, I didn't mind whether we win a cup or not, and that's enough. But, at the moment, we're like 7 points off City. They've got a game in hand, so potentially 10. Then you can start saying, look, just coming kind of second or even third and being 10 even plus points behind is not enough. That you do need to do something in the cup then. But that's the kind of trade-off that now, because we start focusing on the cup, we fall back. So these things are all kind of interconnected. And of course, the next game coming up, we're back in the Europa League. Just before we start talking about the Europa League, do want to just give a shout out again to Manscaped. I'm sure our regular listeners have heard enough of us talking about our balls and things like that basically nowadays, but thanks to Manscaped, who are helping us keep the podcast going at the moment. Manscaped are here to provide the best tools for your grooming experience, offering precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And in fact, not just for your family jewels, they've actually got a new product called the Weed Whacker, and that is all about trimming your nose and ear hair. So yeah, that's something new to go and check out. Like I say, because it's a bit comedy and a bit kitsch and whatever, we often focus on the stuff of shaving down there below the belt, but yeah, they've got other products to check out over there. So yeah, Weed Whacker is the thing to go and look at the moment. Go over to manscaped.com and use the code United Hour. That'll get you 20% off, whether you want the lawnmower, which is for your below the belt grooming, or whether you want the Weed Whacker. Yeah, I'm always thinking of a better thing to say than below the belt, but yeah, that's the thing that works. As I say, get over to manscaped.com, code United Hour, 20% off. So yeah, look, as I say, next up we're going back to the Europa League and Real Sociedad coming up. I will just say that I think it's totally ridiculous what's going on with UEFA, where games are now being sent to neutral stadia. I mean, we're not going to Spain. In fact, you say the Basque Country. We are actually now going to be flying to Turin to play Sociedad. As it stands, they will still come to Manchester, but these rules about which countries are open, which aren't due to COVID, are changing on a weekly basis, so we have to still see. I think UEFA should have made these one-off knockout matches instead of creating extra travel for teams in a kind of middle of a pandemic. But at the end of the day, money, TV and all rules it all, and they want all these matches to take place. But for me, because we are in second place, I really see the Europa League as something where we want to completely be playing a second string. I'm not that bothered about it at all. I mean, look, I know it is a trophy. I really did love it when we won it under Mourinho, because we never won that competition before. But for me, it's something you go seriously in if top four is in jeopardy. And I'd rather focus on the league, get a comfortable top four, maybe have a decent FA Cup run. And this Europa League for me is just going to absolutely derail everything for us. To have those matches, have that extra travel is just unnecessary. I'm not bothered about it at all. I mean, of course, if our reserve team can win these games and we go through, great. But I would be resting the vast majority of players for this match over there, giving plenty of game time to all our fringe players who need those games as well anyway. I don't know where you guys are on that. I mean, Jamie, how important do you put the Europa League? As I say, for me, I would put out a full reserve team.
Well, first of all, money talks, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it's an absolute farce that it's two legs. It's an absolute farce we're having to play it at this time of the season. I just don't see why, just for the rest of this season with the pandemic, they just don't do what they just do what they did last year, where they know who's in the knockout stages, make it all one-legged, and if needs be, put it at the end of the season as well. I just fail to see what the absolute must-be reason is for having the European football take place on a midweek when all the other leagues are going on, and it's not one-legged. I just think it's crazy and farcical, but that just seems to be UEFA. And
it's the money, isn't it? It's the TV money. They want both matches for more TV, more advertising. But
I just think the decision making is just absolutely crazy. I just don't agree with it. Regarding the game on Thursday, last year I would have quite liked to have won the Europa League, just because we were going to finish third and fourth. We eventually did finish third or fourth, and then you're sitting looking, all right, that might be quite good to then win another Europa League, because it was more of a free hit with it being in the summer. With the current format and the fact it is dual-legged as well, I agree with you, Nick. I'm not interested in it at all. I would rather it was the second string, and that literally would be the likes of Henderson, Tuanzebe, Tellez, even Van de Beek get starting both legs, Dan James playing. I would quite like to know what's happened to Mata, if it is maybe an injury or if there's another reason for which he's not playing. But if it was possible to get Mata in, I would want to see him playing as well. I would rather not take any chances with it at all. I would rather just keep everybody fit as much as possible for the league, and for the FA Cup, because I would quite like to see us win a trophy in terms of a domestic trophy with a good finishing position in the league. But the Europa League, no, it's way down the list on priorities for me.
Yeah, okay, so I think we're in agreement there that we want to be sending a second string out there. I mean, looking at Sociedad, they're running pretty well in the league at the moment, in 5th place in La Liga. They'd started the year really well, fell back a little bit, but then have won their last couple of matches. They've got a few names that people will recognise. Obviously, Adnan Januzaj is the big one, who's our old youth player, and he's been in and out of the team because I think he's had some injuries, but he did play on the weekend, so he may well play against us. Then there's Nacho Monreal and David Silva that people remember from Premier League days, but they're well in, I think 34, 35, but still may well feature against us. Then they've got a couple of young lads who are getting a fair bit of attention and may well go on to better things. I mean, the Spanish winger Oyarzabal is their main kind of attacking outlet, and I think their top scorer this year. And then they've also got a young Swedish striker up front, 21 years old, 6'4", Alexander Isak, who scored a couple of goals for them on the weekend. And these are definitely going to be their danger men that we need to be looking out for. I mean, I actually remember playing Real Sociedad. It was in the Moyes year in the Champions League. We played them in the Champions League group stage. And I actually went out there for the away leg out to San Sebastian, which is one of the greatest cities in the world, and that whole Basque region is a great place to be. You can definitely recommend it when things open up again. But yeah, we had a 0-0 board draw out in San Sebastian then. Marouane Fellaini got sent off that day, and we were actually happy to come out 0-0. And we managed to just nick a 1-0 in the home leg that got us the points. It was the group stage, like I say, and I think it was only an own goal as well, and it was after 2 minutes. So yeah, not unsurprising from the Moyes days that we had a 0-0 and a 1-0 with an own goal was about as good as we could manage. But we did get through the group stage at least that year. But as I say, I can definitely talk up San Sebastian as a great place to be. And yeah, nice historic Spanish team. But as I say, to me, I will not be bothered if we go out here. I know it'll cause a whole hoo-ha and everybody will say, oh, we've lost and we're out and whatever. But to me, I'm honestly not bothered. I mean, Ashwin, are you on that kind of track as well?
Yeah. The only thing I will say is we've now kind of gotten sucked back in a little bit into this top 4 battle, instead of at least hovering between chasing City and being above the chasing pack. So look, and ultimately, it doesn't matter because we know Ole is not going to do that. We know we have over 2 years of evidence now of him not thinking it's beneficial to punt on competitions, regardless of the situation in the league or whatever. So it doesn't matter what we think or what I think. He's going to put out a fairly strong team. He's going to rotate the squad, but it's going to be players that routinely feature in the Premier League. I would be shocked if we saw Mata. I'd be shocked if we saw Diallo. I'd be shocked if we saw Tuanzebe. I don't think that'll happen. I think it's going to be, maybe you'll probably get Tellez. You probably get Matic, I think, probably comes in for a match like this. Maybe Bailly gets a run out. Maguire will play because he always plays. Wan-Bissaka will play because he always plays, even though I don't think he should play this match. Yeah, I mean, that's just what's going to happen. So
it'll be interesting to see. I think we'll see a bit more rotation than you're saying, but yeah, I don't think it'll be a full rotated team like what I would like to see. But I think we might see Williams or Tuanzebe playing and somebody else getting a bit of a run out here and there. But yeah, he probably will do something like a 50-50, like the kind of West Ham lineup, But yeah, definitely we expect to see Telles, Van der Beek, etc. We'll go from there. But yeah, look, before we finish off today, I think everybody likes the Imran's stupid games, but I think Jamie, haven't you got a game for us today?
Yeah, I'm just going to fill in for Imran this week. So it's not very stupid. It was more
Jamie's
of a
far more
factual
cultured game.
Yeah, so maybe Jamie's factual game. We'll go for that one. Yeah, so what we'll do is, Nick, did you win the last edition of Imran's Stupid Game, I believe?
I did. My debut and debut win.
Okay, right. Well, what we'll do is you get to call the coin toss. On one side of the coin, I have
The
a
coin toss.
The coin toss, yeah. But we have, on one side of the coin, we have the Manchester United crest. On the other side of the coin, we have Old Trafford. Which one would you like to go for?
Old Trafford.
Okay.
Because I'm missing it. Like I say, coming up to a year since I've been there.
Well, it's come up trumps for you because it is Old Trafford. So do you want to go first or would you like to go second?
I'll go first. Bring it on.
Okay, right. All I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a quote. And the quote is being made by either a current Manchester United player, a former Manchester United player, or a manager or a coach. So it's somebody who has said the following statement and is in some way tied to Manchester United. So Nick, I'll ask you first. If you get it right, you will get a point. If you don't get it right, I'll pass it over to Ashwin and he will have a go and we'll go from there. Are you ready?
Go.
For men who work on the shop floor, the one highlight of their week is to go and watch football. Matt Busby used to say, you should give that man something he can't do himself, something exciting. That is why Manchester United always play attacking football. Who said that?
Alex Ferguson.
No, it's incorrect. Ashwin, over to you.
Wow, I thought for sure it was him. Let's see. That's what I mentioned. Solskjaer?
It was actually Sir Bobby Charlton.
Ah.
Fair enough.
There's one down. Okay, Ashwin, your go. I had always had a feeling that one day I would join United. I didn't know whether it was wishful thinking or a sixth sense about my destiny, but I always felt I would join.
Is that...
I need to push you.
All right. Is that Cantona? No way.
No, it's incorrect. Nick, over to you.
I've got no idea. Roy Keane.
It was Dennis Law.
Okay, going way back when.
Yeah,
all right. I should have got that with the first. Because we're going Law, Charlton. Go on, let's go for the next one. Is it best?
Aren't those questions more like that? That's in your age group, right, Nick?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Not that old.
We'll see if you get this one. I'm not going to say anything about whether it's the other of the triumvirate, but it may well be. So here we go. I'm in love with Manchester United. It is like finding a wife who has given me the perfect marriage.
I have heard this quote. I don't know. It is George Best.
No, it's incorrect. It's not Georgie Best. Ashwin,
can you read the quote again?
Yeah, sure. I'm in love with Manchester United. It is like finding a wife who has given me the perfect marriage.
Neville? Gary Neville?
No, it was Eric Cantona.
Yeah, I should have known that one actually. You should have just stuck with your previous answer.
Yeah.
No, that one I've definitely heard before, and I should have got that one anyway. Go on.
Right, over to you, Ashwin. Your go this time. Come on, lads. This is the fourth one. Got to get one here somewhere. I was starting to get worried. I had never gone 3 seasons without winning the title before.
Ferguson.
No, incorrect. Nick.
God damn it.
Matt Busby.
No, it was Ryan Giggs.
I knew it was going to be. I knew it was a player after that. It had to be a player.
Yeah. Right, back to Nick. My dad tells me that I always wanted to play here. He said when I first saw Old Trafford, I just stood and stared at it for an hour.
Yeah, all these, like, they kind of ring a bell, like I have heard them somewhere, but to, like, place who said it when. Gary Neville.
Bang on the money, Gary Neville. Well done.
All right, finally got one.
And there we go, that's 5 down. Right, Ashwin, back over to you. This particular statement was after Manchester United had won the Champions League in 2008. There's no amount of money that can buy the feeling we have now. We want more. We want to go past people who have been here before. We want to win 2, 3, 4 if we can. That's what drives us on.
How come Oshwin's getting clues now? I don't remember getting any clues.
Because this one has to have a clue, because it's specifically about the Champions League after we won it in a certain year.
I'm just gonna stick with I'm just gonna keep saying Ferguson.
No, incorrect. Nick.
2008. Rooney.
It was actually Rio Ferdinand. So, after we've had 6 questions, it's still Nick 1-0. So, I think it's back to you, Nick. You go to any factory or office and not everyone is going to like each other. Of course, you are going to have clashes. It's not to say we won't have a good do at Christmas and come Saturday we all want to win and we all want to help each other out.
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane is correct. 2-0.
Oh,
Right, Ashwin, you need this one. When you're in the tunnel and you hear on the speakers, please welcome the champions of England, the champions of Europe, the champions of the world. You just believe you're going to crush anybody that's in your way. I always get goosebumps every time I walk out at Old Trafford.
Roy Keane?
No, incorrect. Back to you, Nick.
We've covered a lot of them now, haven't we? We've had Giggs, we've had Keane, we've had Neville, Rio. Beckham.
No, it's Dimitar Berbatov.
Interesting.
I thought that was sounded like a patriotic kind of Englishman, but anyway, go on.
Right, Nick. If you get this right, it's an unassailable lead, so there's pressure on. When I knew about the bids from Man United, there was only one place I was going to go. The players here are unbelievable. The club has fans all over the world, and hopefully I can do well for them.
It's me, right?
No, it's Nick.
Oh, it's Nick.
Yeah, another one that definitely rings a bell. But who is it? I think it's somebody relatively recent. Ronaldo?
It was actually Wayne Rooney.
Should have stuck with my other answer.
Right, Ashwin. Oh no, I fucked up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't give him a chance.
hold on.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Hold on. Right, I tell you what, Ashwin, I'll give you this one, and then I'll just ask another one after that. Right, Ashwin, you go into every single game at Manchester United as player or a manager, thinking you're going to win. That's just the nature of this club. The next game is always the most important.
I've heard all these quotes. I just cannot place any of them. Is that Roy Keane?
Oh, so close. Do you want to have a go, Nick?
Brian Robson.
It was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
God damn.
That's not close. That's why I went for Robson.
I was just like, oh, I hit the post, and it wasn't really. It was like that guy off Bullseye that always just go, oh, so close, so close. Right, I'll tell you what, Ashwin, because I mucked up, I'll just give you another one. I'm sure the Arsenal fans are working on some creative new chants, but they can sing what they like. I've now got 3 nice medals to show them.
Oh. It's not. It can't be that person. Is that Ronaldo?
No, it's not. Nick, do you want to have a go on this last one? Who that was?
Don't know. Van Nistelrooy. I know he hated Arsenal.
It was actually Teddy Sheringham.
No,
It was.
fair enough.
It's the medals that made it hard.
Yeah. But there we go.
Yeah, no, like look, most of those, you have heard them, just like placing exactly who said them. But yeah, anyway, I'm happy I got a couple to keep my running win going.
Aye, congratulations, Nick. That was 2-0. I don't know if that game will make a comeback. Maybe it will if Imran's off 1 week and the boys fancy having a go. But thanks very much for playing Jamie's factual game.
No one, thanks for that. And and anyone who likes those kind of quotes, actually, should go and check out our Instagram, because I know our other Scotsman, David, he's been running the Instagram and he likes posting out inspirational United quotes from there. So yeah,
He has a different accent, by the way, people, as well. It's not the same accent.
Yeah, and to be fair, Jamie, we'd also, I think it was one of the guys over on Red Cafe had said that he thought me and Imran were the same. But, maybe if people...
What are they listening to?
No, look, I don't know. If people... Maybe we can ask Ushwin that, I don't know if you can tell the difference between Manchester and Yorkshire, whereas, to me, it's absolutely clear that Imran's Yorkshire twang is totally different to me. But maybe for you guys over in USA, it all sounds the same. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, all you guys sound like you don't speak English right to me.
Well, we definitely don't. So, yeah.
But yeah, look, on that, maybe we'll have a lesson in regional UK accents on another show, eh? That'll be one of the quizzes. But yeah, look, as I say, bit of a disappointing run we've had. Europa League's kicking off. I'm not sure if we'll come back to record after Real Sociedad, but we'll definitely be back after the Newcastle League game then. Let's see where we're at. It'll tell us a lot about how important Ole is taking the Europa League, his team, this week. But look, we need to get our league back on. Like you say, we don't want to get dragged into this top 4. Thanks. Shout out again to our Patreon guys. Had a few new sign-ups this week. And yeah, we will be putting out some Patreon exclusive contact in the next week or so. Do keep join in on the match day chat. Been pleased to see a couple of new faces in there. Check out, like I say, Patreon United Hour, and as usual, hit us up Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or join the discussion over on Red Cafe. And yeah, we will see you for the next one. Good night all.
Good night from me.
Good night, troops.